Ahead on the Week 6 edition of the Tiger Football Report, we will talk with the head coach of the Tigers, Rob Ambrose, about the Tigers' heart-wrenching loss to the Maine Black Bears. Later on in the show, we'll talk about the Tigers' next CAA opponent, the Stony Brook Seawolves, as the Tigers look to pick up their first conference win of the year. The Tiger Football Report starts now. Hello, Tiger fans, and welcome back to another edition of the Tiger Football Report. I'm the voice of the Tigers, Spiro Marikas. Last week, the Tigers opened CAA play by taking on the reigning regular season champs, the Maine Black Bears. Maine came into the game averaging only 10 points a game. As a matter of fact, they had scored exactly 10 points in all three of their games. But on Saturday, the Maine offense came to life as they had 20 points at the half. But the Tigers regrouped in the second half and played much better on both offense and defense. Unfortunately for the Tigers, they lapsed on just 3 plays in the second half as they gave up 3 straight fourth down conversions on the Black Bears' final drive, including the game-winning touchdown with under a minute left in regulation to hand Towson their third loss of the year, 27-24. Let's now bring in the head coach of the Tigers, Rob Ambrose. And Coach, I know you must have had a tough time getting to sleep on Saturday night.
What sleep? I get all the sleep I want when I'm dead. No, it was, I think you said it. It was heart-wrenching. It really was. And to see what we didn't do very well as a team in the first half and the tremendous response from those young kids in the second half. I said that, I said at the press conference, I was conflicted. I saw some of the best defensive football I've seen since I took this job. Ask Jack Cosgrove, he'll tell you. He's minus the 3 fourth down plays. They didn't have an offense in the second half. I've never seen a half of football be so dominated by one side. And watching our young offensive line come off the ball in the second half and just manhandle them for the entire second. There's a lot of good things to be gained from this. There's a lot of things to learn for these young kids. But in the end, one of the things we preach is it's about winning. It's about winning. And we're close, but we're not close enough.
As Marv Levy used to say, it's easy to know what to do to win. It's just tough doing it. And this was a game that you did get over 400 yards of offense in the ballgame against a very, very good Maine defense. And everyone has talked all year about the offensive line. Let's talk about them. Darius Victor's averaging almost 6 yards a carry. Sure, he's a great running back, but as you used to say last year about Terrence West, you can't do it all on your own. Obviously, the offensive line is opening up holes for Darius Victor, and now we're seeing Markel Dickerson also getting the yardage, so they're doing a good job on the run game.
The offensive line that lined up in the spring, if Darius ran behind them, there's no way in hell that he's getting 6 yards a carry. There's just no way. That those kids are growing together, they're gelling, and I give the offensive staff a lot of credit. That they're doing things, they're planning and scheming in ways that's allowing these guys to be successful to their skill sets currently. And we've cut down some of what we do to make less thinking, and they've been more proficient and efficient in what they were doing. So running the football hasn't been an issue, and to be honest, pass protection hasn't been that bad either. It is only when, and this happens to all young guys, when you get in a situation where you can't put the defense in a 50-50, you can't run or pass, they have to guess. When they know that you're going to pass and they pin their ears back and come, that's where younger kids who aren't as strong and haven't seen it as much, that's where they're going to falter. And we did a little bit in the pass game.
Let's go to the defensive side. And again, they played a great second half except for 3 plays, as you mentioned, in that last drive. What was it when you looked back at the tape of that game on those 3 plays? 3 times Maine had 4th and long, and 3 times they converted the last time for a touchdown. What was it that the defense didn't do on 4th down that they were doing on 1st, 2nd, and 3rd?
Little things. In the critical situations, it's the littlest things that make the biggest difference. The alignment, being inside instead of being outside, being over top instead of being underneath, the very, very littlest things. And I can say that 2nd and the 3rd 4th down were both small, minute technique and eye issues that are preached over and over again, but the ability to hold true to those techniques in the moment when the pressure's on, it's the difference. And had 2 young first-year starters make mistakes on 2 of those 4th down plays. And then sadly, we had on the last one, we had older guys make mistakes and not play a cover 2 defense from the top down where you're basically standing right in front of the ball. It's not an issue, you know it's coming. And that's when it hurts the most. When you knew what you were supposed to do, you knew what you could have done, and you didn't do it.
One thing that you did do defensively, again, is put pressure on the quarterback. Dan Collins was being harassed all night by Ryan Dallaire for the most part, Tunji Coker, Drew Cheripko, John Desir. All 4 of those guys up front just did a great job in putting pressure on the quarterback. Something we didn't see a lot of last year. What is it about this year's defensive line that they're getting more penetration than, say, last year's defensive line did?
They're older. They're older. Are you talking about 2 seniors that are scraping every bit of juice out of every rep they can get? Drew Cheripko might look like the filthiest looking football player I've ever seen. Seriously, I love this guy. He looks like Pigpen, but he knows a defense and he knows offense. He knows the techniques and the schemes and what they're trying to do to him. And while he may not be the biggest guy or the fastest guy or the quickest guy, he is smart and he uses his abilities to the best. And Ryan showed everybody the other gear he has, that he decided in the second half he was going to put it on his shoulder for the most part. I think he had 3 sacks maybe?
3 sacks.
And maybe 3 or 4 more tackles for loss. I mean, those kind of statistics are just freakish. That's like video game stuff. So these guys, and you look at it, as old as that, they're getting better. I mean, Maine's probably the best, probably had the best talent outside of West Virginia that we had faced so far. And these guys made them look like schoolyard kids.
Well, the scouts were here to see Ryan Dallaire this week. Saw several of them in the press box on Saturday night. Still to come on the Tiger Football Report, we will discuss some of the Tigers' top performers from the game against Maine, and later we will preview the Tigers' Week 6 matchup with the Stony Brook Seawolves. You don't want to miss it. The Tiger Football Report will return after this quick break.
Virtual Wallet can help you be that person who's good with money. See what's free to spend, move money with a slide, save with a shake. Feel good about your decisions.
Brian Vickers, Aaron's sponsored driver. He doesn't just love racing, he lives it.
We got the paper! Woo!
His pit crew follows him everywhere. Oddly, so does his boss.
Red, sign that, sign that. Yeah!
And his passion for racing is rivaled only by his passion for errands.
No credit needed. I'll take it.
Woo! Woo!
Congrats.
Aaron's makes owning easy through lease ownership, so you can own the life you want.
You'll find it on the sidewalks of Little Italy and on the porches in Catonsville. You can see it when friends meet in Mount Vernon. It's pride. Pride in our city, pride in our people. That's why MedStar Health is building the most accessible healthcare system in the region to look after everyone from Lutherville to Locust Point. So no matter where you go, no matter who you are, you're never far from MedStar.
Wise Market's ice cream plant is based in Sunbury, Pennsylvania, and locally owned and operated. We've been making our ice cream for nearly 50 years. We create roughly 70 flavors of ice cream right now. We use local ingredients, especially our cream, which is from our milk plant. The cream is what gives our ice cream a rich and creamy texture. Now, together with our customers, we've created a product called Peanut Butter Indulgence, which will be coming out this summer. It's a peanut butter ice cream with sea salt caramel swirl and chocolate-covered pretzel. How can you go wrong with that? Personally, I love our ice cream. If you come to our house at any given time, you'll find at least 5 packets of ice cream in our freezer. Our kids grew up eating Wise quality ice cream, and now we get to treat our grandchildren to it. It's been a pleasure for me to be tasting ice cream for over 40 years for Wise Markets, and I'm loving every minute of it.
Welcome back to the Tiger Football Report. I'm your host, Spiro Marikas, joined by the head coach of the Towson football team, Rob Ambrose. And Coach, a guy that we just talked about, and I guess we might as well just turn into the Ryan Dallaire show. And again, he had a great game against Maine this past week with the 3 sacks. What is it about Ryan where he seems to be able to turn it on at certain times?
Well, he's extremely conscientious. and he's a hard-working kid. Like, he has a 3.3, 3.5 GPA. So his work ethic on and off the field is really impressive. He doesn't attack, he's not your standard defensive lineman. He attacks it individually. He attacks the tackles that he'll face and plans it. Like, he'll watch the film and see what they do, and he'll run his game plan through his head on what he's supposed to do, but more importantly, how he's supposed to do it. And then once the game starts, he is constantly measuring and evaluating these guys, setting them up for when he knows, like, he's going to do his job, but physically he's going to set them up. You know, maybe a half a step slower here or a half a step faster there to get them out of position. So when it's time to go, all of a sudden he drops it into another gear and you're like, whoa, that's really, wow, that was impressive. So he's a nightmare for tackles.
And you mentioned that the defensive line is getting more and more experience, even though they are an experienced group overall. And the longer they work together, the more they can stunt and do those types of things to create havoc up front. You see that a lot with NFL defensive lines that have been together for a while.
This is true. The other thing that's missing is for all those great pass rushers that exist, especially in the league, that when offensive schemes, and I can say from personal perspective, there's probably been about 2 guys in my years as an offensive coordinator that I had to game plan for their existence. Arthur Jones actually being one of them, but and Dumervil was the other. That's kind of weird. So it's rare that you have to do that, but when you do that, when you have to take another guy away from the scheme offensively to cover, basically double team a guy, that leaves all those other guys to be more successful statistically. And, you know, if you ask Drew Tripko, why does he have the decent stats that he has, he'll tell you Ryan Dallaire.
Well, he certainly played another great game. And another kid that, again, every week, we talk about him every week, Donnell Lewis. Another great game for the Tigers and just seems to come up with a big hit at the right time.
Experience will do that. And, you know, as good as he is, he'll tell you that his ceiling, he hasn't reached his ceiling. There is still more room for him to improve. And that's what I like about it. He goes to practice with that attitude every day. Not that I made it, I'm not there yet, but I got to get better.
Last week he also had to take over for Derek Joseph in the return units and did a nice job there too.
Yeah, you know, he's got some reps as we've gone along. He's got some practice reps and then got 1 or 2 before that. But honestly, when they put the ball in his hands, it's like we didn't miss a beat.
Another player who showed his explosiveness this past week was D'Angelo Stevenson with a couple of those inside passes. He's a kid that I think you were expecting a lot of him and then got hurt early on in the season. Talk a little bit about D'Angelo and what he can do for this offense.
He's a very talented guy. He was a sprint champion in the state of South Carolina when we got him. Everybody's like, how'd you get this kid? And he's shown flashes of greatness. At the wide receiver position, he might have had the best camp. He had the biggest wow factor in camp. Like, he's made the most growth as a wide receiver. But early in the season, busted up his ankle and has just been sitting there rehabbing the whole time. So it's good to have him back. He's almost 100% now, and he's getting more and more involved in the game plan.
Speaking of the passing game, it still has struggled through the first 5 weeks of the season. What do you see out of Connor? What can he do better?
Well, I think that he's improved. There's no question about that, friend, but there was plenty of room for improvement. He's improved week after week. It is the longer balls and the touch balls that where his feet and his hands are off. And you see those balls that are floating out of bounds, or, you know, we had Derek Joseph in the corner of the end zone in the first drive and overthrew that one. And those are the things that he works on daily. But it's that coupled with when we have to throw it as a young offensive line, we're just not there yet to be able to protect him and give him the time he needs. So we're getting better, but we got to get better.
Do you think that the expectations for Connor were a little too high because of that drive against Eastern Washington last year? And if you go back and you look at that game, there were several drives where Connor and the offense were not moving the ball. But when the chips were down, he came up with the big plays. And do you think that maybe that raised people's expectations of what he could do?
Oh, I'm sure that's the case. That he was the guy who put together the winning drive. And I said that in the summer in a laughing, joking manner. That's good. Nobody seems to remember the third quarter and the first part of the fourth quarter where he was leading nothing. So, and it just shows that it's definitely in him. But we need a greater degree of consistency out of that position for us to be able to win ball games. And he knows that too. There is no harder person in self-evaluation than Connor Frazier. There just isn't. And he's a true quarterback. If we win the game and he's got the worst stats ever, he doesn't care. He's a quarterback. We won a game. he could throw for 700 yards in a game and 27 touchdowns, and if we lose, he didn't do a good enough job. So that's the kind of guy you want in your locker room and in your huddle, but we need a little more efficiency out of the position itself.
The other kid that's starting to be productive for you is a true freshman, running back, Markel Dickerson. And I know you don't like to play freshmen unless you really have to, but this kid looks like he's going to be special.
He is. It's interesting that he and Darius Victor have very, very similar personalities. I said there's two types of people in the world. There's the ones that think everything's terrible and ones that think everything's a miracle. And both of these kids are grateful. They're just grateful to be in college, to have a chance to get an education, to have a chance to play football, and they squeeze the juice out of it. They epitomize carpe diem. And you know me, I gotta love that. And Markel really works at the game. Like, obviously our offense is much more difficult than a high school offense. But he's got a good teacher in Darius, along with his coaches. He's very conscientious as well. But he's a smart kid now. He picks it up as he goes along and asks questions, and it's important to him. It's great to have him as a Tiger.
This week on your weekly CAA media call, and since the Orioles are in the playoffs, I'll bring it up. You kind of quoted Earl Weaver. And it's interesting because everyone knows you as being a fiery type of a guy. Mm-hmm. On the sidelines, they see you. You're always, out on the field when you shouldn't be and that kind of thing. And you talked about Earl Weaver and his theory that when a team is down, that's not when you kick them. Mm-hmm. You wait until the team's winning. That's when you can really go after them. So what's this week in practice been like after such a devastating loss?
You'd call it probably rebuilding. And more in personal and unit morale. That the kids know they could have won. They know they could have, and they didn't take care of business. And that's a hard thing for 18 to 22-year-old kid who invests so much of a year. I mean, these kids really, really invest in each other, and they do it in the name of the school. And then it's a big thing wearing the colors and representing our alums. So getting them back, getting them back off their feet. I say in the recruiting process all the time, you ever been in a fight? Kids all look at me. You ever been punched in the face? You ever been knocked down? And they, most kids say yeah. I said, so what happened? I got up. I said, good. I want you to remember that. That the point of falling down is not that you fell down or got knocked down. It's getting up. And when you understand that you will keep getting up, you have a chance to do some really special things. You don't lay there. So I'm proud of our kids about how they're responding this week. We've had a good week of practice. We've gotten up. Now we need to get back in the fight.
And the Tigers will have that fight on Saturday, and we will talk about it on the other side of this break. We will break down the Tigers matchup with the Seawolves of Stony Brook. Before we go, let's first take a look at this week's Tiger Tidbit presented by Under Armour. Did you know this is the first time since 2001, when Towson was in the Patriot League, that the Tigers have played their first 2 conference games of the year at home?
So what you got on deck?
Skyfall, Lean In, then some Pinterest. You?
Twitter, Minecraft, and then some Hunger Games. Boom.
Oh, you guys are all set, huh?
Oh, yeah. New Amazon Fire Phone.
It comes with Amazon Prime. Tons of cool stuff for no extra charge.
Really? It comes with Amazon Prime?
Yeah, there's so much to watch.
I've been on this earth 9 years. I've never seen anything like it.
The new Amazon Fire Phone with a full year of Prime included, exclusively on AT&T.
Mariner Finance is a consumer finance company, so we offer personal loans.
Mariner Finance is a great place to work. It's a great thing for anyone with the entrepreneurial spirit.
Everybody in every office has an opportunity to achieve and grow.
Be your own leader. Be a leader amongst the fellow coworkers in your office.
The training and development that we do at Mariner Finance is one-on-one. Someone who has been there, done it, experienced it.
There is no better feeling.
Learn with us.
Grow with us.
Run with us.
Brian Vickers, Aaron's sponsored driver. He doesn't just love racing, he lives it.
We got the paper! Woo!
His pit crew follows him everywhere. Oddly, so does his boss.
Red, sign that, sign that.
And his passion for racing is rivaled only by his passion for errands.
No credit needed. I'll take it.
Woo! Woo!
Congrats.
Aaron's makes owning easy through lease ownership, so you can own the life you want.
This is where the legends live, waiting for someone with better innovation. From the brand that reinvented the t-shirt comes the Under Armour Speedform Apollo. This is our rocket ship.
Welcome back to the Tiger Football Report. I'm Spiro Maurikas alongside the head coach of the Tigers, Rob Ambrose, as the Tigers get ready to battle the Stony Brook Seawolves. The game against Stony Brook is brought to you by MedStar Union Memorial Sports Medicine, the official medical provider of Towson Athletics. Coach, if you look at the numbers, and I'm sure you are well aware of them from watching film, but for the people at home, Stony Brook's defense is something else. They are second in the nation in FCS football, giving up just 227 yards of offense per game. Their rush defense is incredible. Opponents running for just 2.2 yards per carry. That's kind of a daunting task.
Yes, it is. No, they're very, very good. They were good last year. You know, when we went up last year, I really didn't know what to expect. You know, they weren't in the league before. You know, it's common opponents. They did okay. You watch the film, it is what it is. But
they've been a playoff team.
They've been a playoff team, but you don't know till you see them face to face on the field in pads. And those kids play hard. They really do. Their coach has them playing at a very high level, especially defensively. They're not extremely complicated in scheme. You know where they're going to be, but they know where they're going to be, and they're very detail oriented. I'm really impressed, and the stats bear that.
What doesn't bear that is their record. They're only 1-4. You guys are 2-3, and I know that you've got to get to a certain number of wins to get to the playoffs. I'm sure Stony Brook knows the same thing. This, in a sense, is two teams that, you know, their season could be on the line here in week 6.
There's a reason you play them all, and there's a reason you play the whole game. So I'm not going to put any more undue pressure on this one than we would on any one of them. But let's look at it this way. In baseball, you play about 1 million games. In basketball, you play about 1 million games. In football, you are only guaranteed 10, 11, 12, depending on the type of season you're allowed to have. You work all year long for these small moments, and it's our job to make the best of those moments no matter what. So our kids know what that means. They know it's a conference game. We're in conference play every game. It doesn't matter. Take it all the way. We're playing a conference opponent. There are no bad conference opponents. We play in a great, great league. So this is going to be a challenge, and the good news is that we have them here, and you know, that's a special place. I love playing people here.
And last week, they're coming off a loss to William & Mary in overtime, 27-21. The Tribe ranked 13th in the nation, so they took one of the top 13 teams in the country to overtime. Offensively, they've been a little challenged. They do not throw the ball well, completing just 46% of their passes, although they do have a running back in Bedell who's averaging 5.6 yards a carry. What can you tell us about him?
Well, he's doing a really good job considering he wasn't supposed to be the starter. They have 3 tailbacks that are legitimate, and they will all play. And they run the ball extremely well. They're a good for whatever their defense is. Their offense is just that. It is a tough, strong, mean, in-your-face offensive line. And while the stats passing-wise aren't very good, on the whole, they were playing 2 quarterbacks, but now that they've settled on one, he's been a lot more efficient with the ball. So I see them growing week to week as well. This is going to be, if I thought Maine was going to be a physical ball game, this will be more so.
And this is a team that led you at halftime last year until Ryan Dallaire went crazy in the second half. Donnell Lewis with a fumble return for a touchdown, and what was a close battle, you guys kind of opened up at the end.
We went back and watched the film, and this is one of those where you just shake your heads, and people tend to forget exactly what happened. God love Peter Athens, I really do, but he had a hard time getting going that game. I think he fell down on the very first snap from scrimmage, and on the second, he threw the ball directly to a defender. I don't have the words for it. So we dug ourselves a hole offensively, and then as a team dug our way out of it. And if you guys recall, I think it was right before the half, DJ Sovin hit about a 51-yard field goal at their place. Was a momentum changer, and then we played lights out in the second half in all 3 aspects.
So the Tigers will look to make it 2 years in a row against Stony Brook. And, you know, another reason this is not just because it's a conference game, it's a home game, and you have 2 road games coming up, so you really, really want to get this one in the win column.
Yes. Well, you know, I'm sorry. There's something that we're competing against, and I want to win it. It doesn't really matter what that is, so yes. But doing it at home, it just means more. It always means more. You know, anytime we can win in the name of the school, that's great. But doing it in front of the school, that's the big thing. And I'm rest assured this is going to be a lively crowd this weekend.
Let's certainly hope so, as the U can certainly make opponents think twice when it gets loud. We have to take one final break, but we will be back with more of the Tiger Football Report right after this.
Virtual Wallet can help you be that person who's good with money. See what's free to spend, move money with a slide, save with a shake. Feel good about your decisions.
You'll find it on the sidewalks of Little Italy and on the porches in Catonsville. You can see it when friends meet in Mount Vernon. It's pride. Pride in our city, pride in our people. That's why MedStar Health is building the most accessible healthcare system in the region to look after everyone from Lutherville to Locust Point. So no matter where you go, no matter who you are, you're never far from MedStar.
White Market's ice cream plant is based in Sunbury, Pennsylvania, and locally owned and operated. We've been making our ice cream for nearly 50 years. We create roughly 70 flavors of ice cream right now. We use local ingredients, especially our cream, which is from our milk plant. The cream is what gives our ice cream a rich and creamy texture. Now, together with our customers, we've created a product called Peanut Butter Indulgence, which will be coming out this summer. It's a peanut butter ice cream with sea salt caramel swirl and chocolate-covered pretzel. How could you go wrong with that? Personally, I love our ice cream. If you come to our house at any given time, you'll find at least 5 packets of ice cream in our freezer. Our kids grew up eating Wise quality ice cream, and now we get to treat our grandchildren to it. It's been a pleasure for me to be tasting ice cream for over 40 years for Wise Markets, and I'm loving every minute of it.
This is where the legends live, waiting for someone with better innovation. From the brand that reinvented the t-shirt comes the Under Armour Speedform Apollo. This is our rocket ship.
Welcome back to the Tiger Football Report. Coach, thanks for joining us, and good luck against the Stony Brook Seawolves, and we will talk again next week.
Thank you very much. Look forward to doing it.
The Tigers close out their 3-game homestand on Saturday when they take on Stony Brook inside Johnny Unitas Stadium. Brought to you by MedStar Union Memorial Sports Medicine, the official medical provider of Towson Athletics. It should be noted that kickoff has been moved from 3 p.m. until 3:30 p.m., so our coverage will begin with the Coors Light countdown to kickoff at 3 o'clock on TowsonTigers.com and 3:15 on CBS Sports Radio, 1300 AM. That's going to do it for this edition of the Tiger Football Report. Once again, I'm Spiro Marikas. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk again real soon.